Hi, this is David Orlofsky, and welcome to the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. And whether you're watching with our friends over at Torah Anytime, or wherever you watch or listen to your podcast, as always, we're happy to have you along. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment. And we have a sponsor this week. We are sponsored by Anonymous for all the moms out there. So moms, and I know there are moms who love to watch the show. I get emails from them, not all of them, of course, but a scattering of them. And I have to say, probably the most poignant one I received was from a woman who said, I'm a divorcee with a few little kids. My husband does not support. He was abusive. We have a very hard time. And it's this podcast that helps me get through the week. So mom, to all those moms out there, you should know that there's somebody who's thinking about you. And we are, of course, now over a year since the terrible tragedy that took place on Shmini Atzeres. I don't know what you call it, a massacre, an attack. I can't find the words. And I remember when everything first took place, so my producer asked, he says, you should really do a video about the matziv. And I said, I don't know what to say. I'm still stunned. There's a certain point where there are no words. You don't know what to say. Martin Gilbert, in his book called Holocaust, where he tried to document as much as he could, he speaks about one ghetto where he's describing a horrible scene. I'm not even going to share it with you because, those who are squeamish sensitivities will not want to hear all the details. And he says, people were crying and screaming until there were no more tears and there was no more words. That's the way the person who witnessed this described it. And that's how I felt. I mean, as the story began to unfold, I mean, I'm sure wherever you were, I mean, certainly here in Eretz Yisrael, it was a whole different experience because for us, it was Simchas Torah. And there we are. Here I was in Har Nof. We're dancing. And then we suddenly hear sirens. And we look out the window and we see explosions everywhere. We can't understand what's going on. I was we were doing Simchas Torah by Rabbi Zachariah Greenwald, who has been on the show. And his son is one of the aides to one of the commanders, and he got like an emergency call, come now. And we knew something was up, but no one knew what. There was a fog of confusion and uncertainty that was taking place. Because for us, it was Yontif. We weren't turning on any news or anything like that, but we saw people being called up. We saw the explosions. We know something's going on, the extent of which we could not possibly imagine. And for most of us, we still cannot possibly imagine because we only hear rumors of what took place. My son-in-law, who is in the division that is there to collect the dead in the army, but in the Baruch Hashem at the beginning, there weren't that many soldiers to have to be collected. He wasn't going into Gaza, but he had to go around to the communities and collect the dead. It was an absolutely horrific situation. So I thought it would be appropriate as we look back now that we have a chance to catch our breath. Sometimes you need perspective. The Chazal say about Hanukkah, it says, it tells the whole story of my Hanukkah, it tells the whole story of Hanukkah, and after it's over, it says, and the next year, they made a Yontif. They didn't do it on the spot. They had to wait till they got some perspective to understand where everything went. So now that we're a year later, we're going to attempt to get a little bit more perspective. And we are honored to have with us on the show, Avi Yudkowsky, who is, as it happens, not because of that, but as it happens, the brother of our producer. And he has agreed to come in and to share his experiences with us. And so, Avi, welcome to the Rabbi Orlofsky Show.
Welcome. I was happy to come in. Now I agree.
You don't get paid for this, okay? I just
Still my pleasure.
What? No one told me that. Anyway, so you were there right in the front.
Yep.
Okay, so let's get a little background. All right, you live in Pisgat Zev.
Givat Zev.
Givat Zev.
Right near Jerusalem.
Right. How far is Givat Zev from Gaza?
Hour and a half drive. About
Hour and a half drive.
hour and 20 minutes when I drive.
Right. Now, you're living at home. You're still single.
Yeah.
Ladies, I'm just putting it out there. Okay. Now it's up to you. I don't want to hear about the shidduch crisis. Okay. I don't want to hear about it. Now it's a you problem. Anyway, but and you decided to get involved in the Hatzalah.
Yeah, like you could see, I can't sit much. So when I was around,
that's gonna be a problem for a podcast because we can't really do action.
It's really long, but I'll try to be able to. I'll do my best.
Somebody said to me once, I often point out the fact that I have ADD, and they said, "You're lucky. I have ADHD. I was the kid who got beaten because we were jumping around the room. They used to just sit in the back of the classroom, and you go." This is what the
So
ones
I
who
have
can't sit still.
ADHD, DD.
DDD.
Yep.
You know what ADHD stands for?
Remind me.
Attention deficit. Hey, donuts. Anyway. Okay, that's my
donuts,
my
donuts,
Nefel
donuts.
Doniel cans offered me that joke, so I give credit where credit is due. Yeah, so you got involved in Hatzalah.
Yeah, when I was around 16 years old already, I started going to the headquarters to help. By the beginning, I was closing envelopes, helping get EMTs ticks ready, trauma kits,
Right.
Just helping with whatever they needed. And it was something that really interested me. It's something that I really wanted to do.
Are you an EMT now?
Now I'm an EMT. When I was 18 years old, right away, I started a course. When I was 19, on my birthday, I got my United Hatzalah kit, my defibrillator, and I started going on calls. And I volunteer now for 4 years by now.
So what are you qualified to do medically?
I'm not a paramedic. I'm not a doctor. But I could still
I don't want to
save
know
lives.
what you're not qualified to do. What are you qualified to? When you pull up in your Hatzalah van, besides saying, I think he's dead, what can you do?
If he's alive, then there's a little bit for
I
me
think
to
he's
do.
alive.
Yeah. So there's a little bit I could do out on the field. Besides that, I also
Can you resuscitate
volunteer.
somebody? Do the heart thing?
Of course. That's
Okay,
what we
that's a
do.
pretty big
That's
thing.
our. Yep.
Having a heart condition, I can tell you that's something I look for in a Hatzalah member.
Right.
Do you do the paddles? Do the paddles? Shock people?
Yeah. I have a defibrillator in my car, and I used it more than once.
Wow.
I volunteer. I go on calls
Only on
every
people who
day.
are having heart problems. Like you don't just do it for
Car accidents. Yeah, everything. It's
you
it
shocked people
became
back to
part of
life.
me.
They were out and you brought them back. You got a heartbeat.
It was him, not me, but
Yeah, but you got the defibrillator, so you have to always make sure not to hold the guy's hand when you're doing that. 'Cause
yeah.
it's not you. Yeah. All right, so you can bring somebody back from the dead. You can resuscitate them. You can staunch wounds and stuff, and
IV,
those kind of things. And okay. So those are impressive things, right? Okay.
Yep.
So you're in Hatzalah, and how often do you find yourself in like serious situations?
I go almost every day on between 1 to 3 calls. It happens. I work at night usually. I'm a DJ. I go to weddings usually, bar mitzvahs, parties. So usually in the morning hours, I'm more available. So a lot of times I do shifts on ambulance. Sometimes I go volunteer in the dispatch center.
Now, how often are those like serious calls where there's like life-threatening situations?
I would say once a week. Depends. Wow. It's very different. Sometimes there's 3 in one day, and sometimes there's nothing for a month.
That doesn't make you nervous? Like, here's a guy, and I have to try to save his life?
It's not nervous. It's a schus to help someone.
Yeah. That's why
each one is good in something else, and that's what Hashem gave me to help people.
Okay. So now it's Shmini Atzeres.
Yeah, so the whole week before, like I said, I'm a DJ, and I go to parties. I was having fun the whole week. The whole sukkahs.
Chol Moed, busy time.
Yep. And for Simchas Torah, Shmini Atzeres, 7 or 8 of my really good friends came to me for Shabbos Yantif. Shabbos night, we went to shul. We were dancing with the Sefer Tova, having a lot of fun.
Right.
Came back home, had our Shabbos meal. We played poker till 4 o'clock in the morning.
Sure. It's a Menega and Shmini Atzeres.
Yeah. And I went to sleep really around 4 o'clock in the morning. And my brother, who's in the army, got a phone call at 7 o'clock from his commander and told him that something's going on and he should get ready.
He was home?
He was home.
Right.
So the first thing he did is he came to my room and he knocked on my door and he woke me up. He told me, Avi, there's a war down south. You should
They
get
said
up.
it's mamash a war. They knew
That's
at that
what his
point.
commander told her, yeah. So I told him that I really don't want to get up for Shachar, so give me my blanket back, and I turned over, and I went back to sleep. And he came around 20 minutes later, and he told me, it's serious, get up. So I washed my face, and I called the dispatch center. I asked them if they need help in the dispatch center, if they want me to come help them.
Where's the dispatch center?
In Yerushalayim, around 15-minute drive, 20 minutes from my house.
You don't have an ambulance. You don't keep an ambulance.
I don't drive ambulance. I have my private car that I go on calls with. And I know that every time that there's something major, there's something big, so they need people to come to the dispatch center,
Right?
Because they need more people. So right away I called them, and my friend answered me. I asked them,
Do you need me?
Do you need me? So he told me, if you could come here, but if you could go down south, go there. They need you over there much more.
Take your car, go straight down without an ambulance.
So I think that's a second that I understood that it's much more serious than what I thought. And I right away I called. The first thing I did, I got dressed, I washed my face, and I called my friend who lives right near me that I knew he had an ambulance for Yantif. So I called him and he
Grab
told
your
me,
ambulance. We're going down to Gaza.
yeah, I asked him, I told him, Avi, are you leaving? So he said, yeah.
He knew about it already.
He knew about it. He got right away the dispatch center called everyone with ambulances to start going down south. So he told me, yeah, I'm by the entrance to Givat Zev, come fast. So I took my bulletproof vest, my helmet, and I drove to the entrance. I parked
Most
on the sidewalk.
Hatzalah guys
and,
have bulletproof vests.
over here in Israel, yeah.
How often do you find yourself in a situation where you need a bulletproof vest?
Not much, but in Israel it happens, and it's not every single volunteer here has it, but around Yerushalayim and even in Yerushalayim and places where there is terrorist attack, then they give the volunteers a bulletproof vest and helmet. That
My son-in-law told me that when he
safety.
went down, most of the people didn't even have vests.
right.
They didn't have enough vests for people. They were raising money in America to buy vests for the army, which to me says, wow, that's really unprepared. You know,
It's unprepared. No one was prepared for what happened that day.
this was a complete shock. There was no
Of course.
chatter or anything that something
Even
was coming.
us, the volunteers, the EMTs that sometimes think about what's gonna happen or go to all different places to try to think what we're gonna do when something big happens. We never thought something
Alcohol
that
poisoning
big
was
could
the most you can imagine on Shmini Atzeres, right? By the kiddush.
Yeah.
So you hop into the ambulance.
Yeah, and we start driving down south. At that point, I have no idea what's going on. But I know that I'm going to help whoever needs help.
So where did you start to sense that there's something going on? Like, where did you go where you said, uh-oh, this is not normal?
When I looked out the window when we got there.
No, so how far down? Like, how far south?
We were a little bit before Sderot. There's a very big section.
That's about an hour and a half drive.
Hour and 10 minutes. Yeah, something like that.
So you're
And
driving for
15
about
minutes.
an hour?
Yeah, and when we get there, the dispatch tells us on the radio that a little bit before Sderot, there's a big section. It's called Tzomet Cheletz. He said that at this point, it's the furthest zone that he knows that is okay and there's no terrorists there. So every ambulance or every volunteer that's on the way down south waits over there till they know more what's going on and where could we go to.
So in the meantime, all the fighting, all the killings going on, and how many ambulances are parked over there?
When we get there, at that point, there's 2 or 3 ambulances that came
You were
together with
one of the
us.
first.
Yeah. And we didn't stop there, of course. We continue
No, you
straight
added,
on.
of course, as if right? Well, they're telling you, do not go past this point because there are terrorists who are shooting and there's an active war zone.
Yeah.
And you say, well, of course we didn't stop over here
We
because after
didn't-
all, we're civilians in a Hatzalah ambulance without any weapons. Why shouldn't we go down into the war zone? That's what you're trying to say.
No, I'm trying to say that we left.
Did the other two ambulances say, are you out of your mind?
Yeah, they right away went on the radio and they said, "Dispatch, where is
Yudkowsky
he
is
going
out of
to?"
his mind. Someone shoot him.
Yeah, kind of. So the dispatch center right away called us and he said, "Ambulance 54, where do you think you're going to?" So we told him that there's a SWAT team with us and they're watching over us and we're going to take some people injured.
There's no SWAT team.
There was no SWAT team.
Right. And there was no army or police blocking.
There was
the
a
road at
police
that
car
point.
blocking because they didn't want more civilians going in there.
But they didn't stop you.
No, we just went right through. They see an ambulance, so they don't really ask. They understand that.
In
each
your
one
regular
knows
car, you
what
have
it's
one of
doing.
those little Hatzalah lights, right?
Yeah.
Right. Do you ever use it when you're not on a call?
No.
You can tell the truth here. There's only 20,000 people listening. Nobody's going to ratch out. So you just go right past the cop.
Yeah.
Do you know where you're going?
We have no idea.
Oh my
I don't know the South. I was never in that area, I think, before. I had no idea where I'm supposed to drive.
You never made it actually into Gaza, right?
No.
No, just in the
And at
areas.
that point, I saw the Waze and the Google Maps weren't working because Israel just closed the GPS or I don't know what. So we just had no idea. We were just driving towards Gaza. We had no idea.
Just driving. Don't know where you're going or what's
Yeah.
happening.
Until we got to Sderot and we started to see where we are
Now,
and
in
what we're doing.
Sderot, they were going through the streets still at that
Yeah.
time, shooting people,
Yeah,
as I remember reading.
right.
So you show up with your ambulance and there's gunfights going on.
We hear the gunfights. We don't see them at that point. We see all the streets over there are full of bodies. People,
Jews, Arabs?
everyone. Just people dead. Every single car. There's between 2 to 3, 4, 5 dead people inside.
How many cars were shot up?
Too much to count. You just drive a few kilometers and every 10, 12, 15, 20 meters, there's a car that's with dead people inside. Or sometimes it's a bike, someone who's riding a bike. Sometimes it was just 2 old people who went for a walk. And you don't even have time to think what to do with them because
There's no wounded at that point.
till we started driving towards there, and all of a sudden this police car comes towards us, and he screams.
What are you doing here?
He screams. He screams, "Give us a stretcher! Give us a stretcher! We have someone injured in the car." So we right away we take out the stretcher, and we.
So he was happy that you decided to.
Of course,
disobey orders.
every single person who saw us that day was really happy that he saw us. He didn't
Right.
understand what we're doing there, but he was really happy to see us because every person that was injured, we helped them get out.
Right. So you saved someone, a civilian who was injured in a car.
Yeah, at that point, we took a girl that was injured by the Nova Festival. She was
What was she doing in
hit
State Road?
from the police car brought her from there. He was just trying to get her out.
Right.
She was hit from 2 bullets. And they were waiting for any medic doctor that they could see on the way.
Wow.
Till they saw us. We put her, of course, in the ambulance, and we started driving back towards Somet Cheletz to give her to
Somebody
these other ambulances,
these other brave
helicopters that
ambulances who
were-
were waiting there
Yeah.
for you to come back.
The truth is that on the way there, all of a sudden, this car comes, drives. We're driving on 100 miles per hour. He's driving on 120. And he just stops right in front of us and he doesn't let us drive. So the crew that was with me, Avi and Emmanuel, they take their guns out. We were scared it was terrorists. And all of a sudden they scream, take out the stretcher, take out the stretcher. And they give us another 25-year-old girl that was injured. So
You have room in the ambulance for 2 people?
there's room for 1, but we put her on the chair, and the second girl we put on the stretcher. She was hit on both of her legs, also from bullets. And we took them both to Tzomet Chelitz and gave them to the other two paramedics that took them to the hospital. And we
So did
turned around
anybody
and
else at
drove
this
straight
point at the
right back
Tzomet
in.
say, hey, they're going in, maybe we should go in too?
I don't know what they were thinking. We didn't have time to ask
But
them
nobody
to
did.
come in.
No one came with you.
Nobody came with us.
Right. So then you go back to Sderot.
There were people that did want to come in. I know it now, not at that point, but that there were more people that wanted to come in. But the guy in charge over there of United Tel, his name is Aaron. He was in charge of all the ambulances. Like every time we came with injured people, he told which ambulance should take him to what hospital.
But he didn't
and
try to
everything.
stop you guys anymore.
He told everyone that no one's allowed to go in, and he knew that it's not going to help him to try to tell us that we can't go in because we're going to go
Nobody
in
go
anyways.
in. If we lose Yudkowsky, we lose him. That's how it goes. We're prepared to take that risk.
Afterwards, at around 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, then really, Avi, the driver in our ambulance, went to Aaron and he told him, we need more ambulances. So Aaron told him that he's not going to go tell anyone's wife that
Right.
his husband
I
died
sent him
because
in
of
because of
something,
me. Yeah.
because of my decision.
Sure.
And he told him that
Yeah, because
you're
this is not the army. This is a volunteer ambulance
It's
system.
people that left
who's
their
here
wife
to
and
help
kids
someone
home.
who
That's
breaks
what
their
they're
leg.
doing,
Right. They're not there to go into a war zone. They're not
Right.
trained for that.
right. And Avi told Aaron that people are going to die if we don't go in. So Aaron told him that.
Anyone who wants to go in with these
By
guys.
the beginning, he told him that there's no way anyone's going in. You're the only crazy person that wants to go in. I'm not going to fight with you. You could go in, but no one else is going in. And Avi went to the side and spoke to him for 2 minutes. And he told him that there's soldiers laying down on the floor that are waiting for these ambulances.
There's
So
no army
Aaron
ambulances?
At that point, there was no army ambulances
How
at all.
is that possible?
No one was ready for it. So Aaron just turned around and he said, whoever wants to go in, I'm not going to stop him. And right away, 6 ambulances started
Wow.
Driving after us.
So what time did you go in there
Kfar Aza.
originally?
We were there. We were in.
You passed the summit the first time,
9:30 about.
and the rest of them didn't come till 3.
Right, 3:30. Yeah.
Wow. So 6 hours. You're the
Yeah, so
only
there was-
ambulance in the scene.
Yeah, basically. At that point, we just went in and out just a bunch of times. Every time we took between 2 to 8 people in the ambulance.
How do you get 8 people into an ambulance that can hold 1?
At that point, you could put us on 80. It's people that are running for their lives. They're just gonna find a way to stand wherever they could, even if they're shot in their leg. They're just gonna stand on one foot and try to get out of there.
So now you dropped off those first 2 people. You go back to Sderot.
We start driving back towards Route 232, towards Kfar Aza, basically. Yeah, we passed the road.
Oh, you didn't go back into Sderot.
We passed right near Sderot and we passed Sderot. Yeah.
So how did you decide where to go now? Because no one's telling you.
We
where
had
to go.
no idea. We just saw after these 2 girls, we started driving on Route 232 towards Kfar Aza, and another car came with another 2 injured soldiers. So we took them out and drove right back in. And we saw that the 2 of the cars that came to us came from that way. So we decided to go there to.
No one's
Try
directing you. No one's giving you any information.
There's
Just
no
one
there's no one in
ambulance
the street. Every
in
person
the
was-
entire South who's handling everything.
Yep.
Oh, isn't there Hatzalah in any of these towns?
There is volunteers that are working, that are saving lives. There's a few Hatzalah members that were shot at that point. By the Sderot police station, there was a volunteer he ran to give treatment to this policeman that was shot. And while he was treating him, the few terrorists shot him from the police station. He was really badly injured.
Did he make it?
A different EMT. I'll tell you a story. His story is crazy. He was hiding behind a garbage can over there because he couldn't cross back the street because they were shooting towards him. So he was hiding behind this garbage can for over 3 hours, bleeding. He was shot in his face and shot in his knee. He took out of his Atala kit bandage. He was stopping his self-bleeding. He was shot in his cheek. He was stopping his bleeding. He was there for over 3 hours. After 3 hours, a different Hatzalah member who got there saw his friend shot on the other side of the street. And there was a few policemen and soldiers that were fighting over there, were shooting towards the police station, and the terrorists were shooting back. So he just told those guys, listen, I'm going to get my friend. If you want to come with me, come. If not, just don't. But I'm going to get my friend.
In the middle of a gunfight.
Yeah. So he just started running towards him. And 3 policemen ran together with him while they're shooting towards the police station. They ran to him. They pulled him back to the other side. And this other Hatzalah member that was okay, he put him in his private car. And there was another injured policeman over there that he put them both in the car, and he started driving with his car to the hospital. On the way, the EMT that was injured was laying down in the back of the car near this policeman. The policeman was almost unconscious already. He lost a lot of blood. And all of a sudden, he saw that this policeman is bleeding from his back. He's still bleeding from his back. He was shot.
The EMT was lying on the floor.
He was lying.
The one who was injured.
Yeah.
Noticed that the other
policeman is bleeding from his back. He took the bandage off his cheek and he put it, and he was holding it till the hospital and the guy's back. And they're both alive today. I could say that 2 weeks ago, this EMT got back his motorcycle to go save lives. It's crazy. It's stories that you...
But there were no ambulances in Sderot or in any of these places?
No ambulances.
How is that possible? Sderot's like a city.
There's a bunch of...
They're always shooting rockets at it, so you think there should be an ambulance there.
Right. There is a few ambulances, but at that point, all the MADA ambulances that are supposed to be there, one of their ambulances went on a call at 7 o'clock in the morning in a Fakim, and the driver was shot and killed. So they decided at that point that no ambulance is going out till everything's okay.
You made it to Ofakim? Or you didn't go to Ofakim?
At that day, no, we weren't.
No. Okay, so you go past Sderot and you go to...
And we start driving towards Kfar Aza.
Now, what's Kfar Aza?
Kfar Aza is a small village. It's a few kilometers, like 3 or 4 kilometers away from the Gaza Strip.
You've never been there before?
Never been there before.
You just decided, the wounded came from there, so I'm going to go there.
So we're going to go there to see who we could help.
Because that's where the war's going on and they're shooting, so why shouldn't I go there? Did you have a gun?
No.
Okay, did your friend have a gun?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So when something happens, you push him forward.
I could say that the whole time we were driving, and he was holding his small pistol in the window waiting, because maybe a terrorist car is going to come in front of you.
So it's always good to have a small pistol when they're shooting at you with M16s.
Yeah.
That goes very well.
Yep. That's what it was. It's funny, and but
it's insane. It's
absolutely crazy.
Insane.
Yeah.
So you go to Kfar Aza. The gate was open?
Yeah.
How was the gate open?
There were a few soldiers that were fighting inside, but the gate was open.
Wow.
There were people dead all around there, but...
So you drive in, you hear gunfire everywhere.
Yeah, we drive into Kfar Aza, and when we get to...
in retrospect, perhaps the brightest move that one might have made under the wartime situation.
Right.
Because you are not a military person.
Right. But
you're
at this point...
Hatzalah volunteer who's a DJ.
Yeah.
Not to put that down. I think that's very important. It's just like bang stuff.
I think that at this point, all of us really didn't think. We didn't have time to think.
Wow.
We were just looking for people we could help.
So you drive in, you hear shooting everywhere.
Yeah, the whole day. From when we got there, while you're driving on the street, you're driving after a tank. And there's missiles on top of your heads.
I would not drive after the tank. That's me. Because my guess is that they're going to aim for the tank more than for the ambulance. So I would like to keep myself a little distant from the tank. That's what
we didn't drive after the tank the whole time because he was driving slow. So we passed him, of course.
Sure.
But I mean that we were driving right near tanks on the road near us. There's tanks and soldiers running and injured people and dead people, and
At least they got some tanks out there.
there's missiles on top of your heads, and shooting is not stopping from all around you.
The missiles from Gaza were landing over in Gaza too, right?
Yeah, of course.
So explosions all around.
Yeah. War zone,
Yeah,
basically.
okay, I've never been in a war zone. I've said that about my house when all my grandchildren come, but it's a completely different situation. Yeah. Okay, so you're driving around now. You're looking for injured,
Yeah,
but mostly you just see dead.
right.
Right.
So when we
You
drive
don't have time
into,
to deal with the dead.
right, one of the first decisions we made is that we're not taking death
Right.
because we need the ambulance for injured people,
Right.
and if we're gonna have someone dead in the ambulance and someone injured is gonna come, it's gonna take us more time.
Right.
And we didn't come here for that. We came to save who we could, and it's not the right thing to do.
Right.
Even though it's really, really hard, but it's not the right thing to do. At that point, we
You
go
had
to
someone who
Kfar-
confronted you.
Right. A few times we took by the end through the day. We did take 4 bodies. They were soldiers
Four
and
bodies.
policemen.
There's like over 1,200 dead. You know, like
We saw hundreds, but we took only 4. We decided that soldiers and policemen who we see in middle of the streets we're gonna take, because we knew that if their friends are gonna come to fight and see them, then they're not gonna be able to fight like they know and like they're supposed to. So we decided that we're gonna take them. The first one was a soldier that we saw dead in a car. We decided we're not taking him. We're not taking death. And all of a sudden we saw his M16 right near him. And we knew that there were still terrorists driving back and forth. So we decided we were going to go take the gun, that terrorists shouldn't take it.
have you ever fired an M16 in your life?
No.
Okay, so you're now in an ambulance, a DJ with an M16.
Yeah.
What could be wrong with this picture? Yeah. So
So we got off. We
this is
took
so outrageously amazing. Yeah.
we took this M16, and when we got off the ambulance and we were standing there, we looked at each other and we just couldn't leave him there. So I went around and we cut a seatbelt and we put him in the ambulance, and we didn't know. Okay, well, what should we do with him now? So we drove to the entrance of Sderot, and over there.
So that was it. So you left now Kfar Aza with just the dead policeman.
No, the dead policeman was on the way before the first time we got to Kfar Aza. After we went back,
So
and
then you turned
twice.
around and brought him back.
Yeah,
and
we brought them back.
you went back to Kfar Aza.
We started driving towards. We got to the entrance of Sderot, and we saw there was a lot of policemen and military that were trying. They were all like getting ready to go into Kfar Aza and to go into to fight. They were trying to understand where the terrorists are and what the right thing to do is. So we just went to the commander there. We told him, here, first of all, here's this M16 that we don't know much how they use it. So this is for you. Do with it what you think is right.
And did he just look at you like, here's some Hatzalah volunteers?
Yeah.
with a
So
dead-
we told him
with a
we
dead
have
policeman and an
dead-
M16.
Yeah. We told him we have a dead soldier in the car. So he's like, okay. So we're like, where
do you want me
where
to do
should
with
we
him?
put him? So he's like, I don't have time to think about it. Just do what you think the right thing to do is, and turned around and left. And while we're thinking if it's the really right place to put him or not, this car comes with 2 injured soldiers. So we decided that doesn't matter what we think. This is the place we're gonna need to drop him off.
Because you took the 2 injured soldiers.
Of course.
Right.
So we right away we took him down with a stretcher. We put him down near a tree over there. We covered them. We said Shema Yisrael, and we took these 2 soldiers back out to Tzomet Cheletz, and then we drove back in towards Kfar Aza.
As you're driving around Kfar Aza, are you thinking to yourself, I might die at any minute?
We didn't have time. We're the whole time we're driving in the ambulance.
Because I would have been thinking about that a lot. If there were explosions and bullets going on, I think a lot of my focus will be, I am going to die.
We really didn't have time to think about it. The time we were driving towards
You never went to the
Kfar Aza-
army. You never had any training or anything.
No.
When
When
we
we
played
were
some tough
on,
parties as a DJ. And so now you have explosions going all over the place and you're like, just slip into, saving mode.
yeah, That's
Because that's why
that's
they
what we went
train
for.
soldiers not to think in these kind of situations and just to act.
It's not that
So, I mean,
we
it's
didn't
amazing
want to
that you
think.
came
I
up with
think
that on
that
your
it's- That's we didn't have time for it. Like when we were on the way to Kfar Aza, that you say, so Cheletz from Kfar Aza is a 15-minute drive. So when we were coming back, there was no one in the ambulance, so we could have sit and talk and try to understand what the right thing to do is. We didn't have time. The whole back of the ambulance was full of blood. So I was, while I'm cleaning all the blood and back and trying to open IV kits for the next injured people that's going to come on. So it's you don't have time. You just do what you think the right thing is the same second. You don't really have time to think what should I do now, what should I do after. You don't have time to look at the whole big
my
picture.
entire life, I have plenty of time to think about the consequences of the dangerous situations I find myself in. But I guess that's why I never worked in Hatzalah. Anyway, so now you go back to Kfar Aza.
Yeah, and when we get into
Still missiles and explosions and gunfights.
they don't stop for a second.
Right.
We drive straight
Was
into
Kfar
Kfar
Aza
Aza.
one of the places that were hit the worst?
Yeah, after Barry, it was the worst. Yeah.
Right.
We drove into Kfar Aza, and we drove in maybe 30, 40 meters.
And any of the soldiers or police over there saying, "What are you doing here?" or
Yeah, so
anything?
after 30, 40 minutes we drove in, all of a sudden this soldier came and he like blocked us and he said, "What do you think you're doing here? You're crazy." So we told him we came to
Came to get the
help
injured.
people. We came to help injured people. So we said, if you're going to drive another 5 meters, you're going to get shot from an RPG. So turn around the second and you can't stay here. So we turned around and we drove 30 meters back to the entrance of Kfar Aza, and we were just waiting there.
Oh, I thought you go down another street, so come around to the other side.
No, we waited there for a few minutes, and this different. The first time a civilian car, just a regular car, came out with an injured soldier. His name was Daniel. I remember that through this whole time, it was really hot. We're with this helmet and bulletproof vest. We're all sweating.
Oh yeah, it's hot down there.
It was very hot down there, and we put him in the ambulance. He was hit from a grenade. He was full of cuts all over. He's laying down on the stretcher. I'm stopping his bleeding, and Emmanuel is saying, "Okay, let's give him IV." So he tries to open IV, and the first one didn't work. While we're driving between bodies, it's not that easy. So he said, "Okay, I'll try again." So he looks for, in the other hand, he tries. And a second before he tries, he tells Avi and how long we're going to get to Tzomet Cheletz. So he told him we'll be there in 1 minute. So Emmanuel was holding this needle on top of this 20-year-old soldier. And he's thinking for a split second, he was thinking, should I try again or should I just let the paramedic do it in a minute while we're not driving? It's going to be much easier. So then this guy looks at him and he says, "Man, why are you sweating and you're all stressed out? I'm the one who's injured." And I think that's Am Yisrael. That's this guy is injured and on the way to the hospital, and he sees to find this funny second. That's what he said that second, and a minute before he was screaming from pain.
Yeah, imagine.
And
you get hit by a grenade, that would do it.
Yeah. And I remember that
And so
I
you
told
got
him
him
on the
there.
way.
Did you do it or not? Did you put in the IV?
No, we just waited and
You got there and you handed him over?
Yeah, we handed him over to a paramedic that was there, and we turned straight right back in.
Right back to Kfar Aza.
Yeah. On the way to Kfar Aza this time, a Hummer, military Jeep came towards us. There was a 40-year-old laying on the hood, a doctor sitting on him while they're driving for 60 miles per hour. A doctor sitting on him and cutting his chest open, doing this whole procedure while he's getting blood and medicine.
Why didn't they put him in the Hummer?
There was no room. It was full of soldiers and bodies and equipment. And they wanted him to lay down because he needed to lay down. So they just put him on the hood and they were
must
driving
have been
that
happy
way.
to see an ambulance pull up.
They were very happy. You could see we have cameras in the ambulance in front and in back. We didn't even know about them at that point, but now today when I look at these cameras and we see all the pictures, you see like from 100 meters away from us, there's already one soldier from in back that screams to us like this, like, come. And we take him to, we put him in our ambulance.
Did the doctor put him in the ambulance?
He put him in the ambulance and they turned around and drove straight right back in.
He didn't keep working on his chest. He said,
no, we waited a few more seconds till he finished this procedure he was in middle. His whole hand was blown up. We did what we could and we took him to Tzomet Cheletz. And 2 months ago, we went to meet him in the hospital. He's okay and he's fine. And he's back to work.
No hand.
And he told us his
he didn't
story.
Have a hand, right?
Right.
Okay.
He told us his stories. We went to meet so much people that we were able, Baruch Hashem, to get out of there.
How many people did you save altogether? If you can guess
through the whole day, we took out over 60 people. And it's so fun to say that every person that came alive
so if all
onto
the ambulances
had
gone in, could have saved a lot more.
Yeah. But you can't tell anyone to go in.
I can't. You can't even imagine what it's like to be in a situation like that.
But today I understand why I did what I did, because I said over 60 people that came onto our ambulance. Every single one of them, besides the 4 that we took dead already, they're all alive today. And
they probably would not have made it if you hadn't been there.
They were gonna make it because Hashem wanted them to make it, but it's a feeling that no one could take away. It's you feel that you did something that helped really other people at this big day that we're gonna remember for forever. And it's you understand now why you did what you did and why you went where you went and why you didn't have time to think and why every single second over there was a world for someone else.
So you took him off the Hummer, you brought him back, and then back to...
And we start driving back, and just the whole day we do back and forth. I remember there was one time...
You kept meeting people on the road.
Right, on the road, sometimes in Friday, right. And I remember like a lot of times I remember there was one time someone told us that his friend is hiding somewhere, and he asked us to go get him. So he sent us the location, and when we got there, we didn't see his friend. We called him, we asked him, where are you? Like, we're here. So he says, oh, here, I see the ambulance. You're in the ambulance? I'm coming. He was shot in both of his legs, and he started running towards us.
How is he running with...
He's running, and he's shot. And when he gets to us, there was a gate between us. And when he gets to us, we're trying to think how we should break this gate open. Like, how should he climb? It was like a 2-meter gate. By the way, he climbed to the other side before we got there.
Who is this guy?
A 18-year-old boy.
Not a soldier.
No, he wasn't a soldier. He was running away from a few terrorists, and we saw his shoes. He was shot in both of his legs. He got to this gate, and he just needed to run away. He took his shoes off, and he just climbed over this 2-meter gate.
While you were standing on the other side, he's shot in both legs,
and we're trying to get him
without shoes, and he's climbing over.
And we're trying to think how to get him towards us over this gate. And all of a sudden, this car comes, and he gives us a soldier that was shot in his head. And we can't even wait for a second, so we tell this guy, "Listen, run back to where you were hiding. We'll come back to get you."
He's climbing over the gate.
He climbed before, and now he's a half a meter away from us, and we're telling him, "Listen,
Why can't you take both of them? You told me you
because till we're gonna break open this gate, it's gonna take time, and the soldier, every second counts."
So the soldier had a gun. Why didn't he just shoot the lock of the gate or whatever?
The soldier comes. He's shot in his head. Every single second counts, and we just told this guy, "Listen, run back to where you are hiding. We'll come back to get you. We promise you're going to come back to get you."
Back and forth with
both legs. He ran back. You see it in the ambulance that he ran towards us, and right when he gets near the gate, he can't stand already, so he lays down on the floor. And then we try to think how to get him through this gate, and we tell him, "Listen, we have to go now. There's a soldier in the ambulance. We have to go. Go back, and we'll come back to get you. We promise you, we'll come back to get you." And he just stands up and he runs back. It's strength that you get from out of nowhere, but you get it because when you know that if you don't run now, even though you're shot in both of your legs, you're gonna get shot on your head.
And
So
he ran back.
He ran back. We took the soldier to a helicopter that took him to the hospital, and we drove back to get him. And when we went back to get him, there was already another 7 people with him hiding over there.
Hide over the gate.
We just knocked it open with the ambulance. Just went right through it.
Do you have to take responsibility for this ambulance when you bring it back?
I hope Ali Beer is not going to listen to this podcast.
Does he know you're using your ambulances to smash open gates?
We knew that we need to get
And there were 7
we
injured people there.
Yeah.
And you put them all in the ambulance.
Yeah.
8 of them.
Yeah. 8 injured people. There's 3 chairs and a stretcher. The rest were standing, including us, the 2 other EMTs. And we're just taking care of whoever we could.
Who was sitting next to the driver?
Another person that was injured. He was shot in his arm. And the story he told Avi on the way is crazy. We didn't hear it at that point, but he told us that he was doing on one of his best friend CPR for over 3 hours in a garbage can while he hears the terrorist surrounding them, right? Like 3 meters away from him, he hears them talking on the phone, talking to each other, shooting, screaming, and he's doing CPR on his best friend in a garbage can. And he asked Avi on the way, do you think there's still a way? Do you think he has any more chances to survive? And we know that not really.
If the CPR for 3 hours.
Yeah, even after an hour, but yeah, for sure 3 hours. So there's not really much to do. So we tell him, we'll try to see what we can do. And we just let him go to the other ambulance and we drive right back in. And every single time we go in and out, there's stories like this. People tell us on the way. Also today, when we go to meet some of them, they tell us the stories, what happened until they got to us. They're real heroes. Like this guy that was on the Hummer on the hood. He's a 40-year-old. He was fighting in Kfar Aza. It's from 7 o'clock in the morning.
What was he doing there at 7 o'clock in the morning?
He lives there. He lives in Kfar Aza.
So he hears the Hamas come in.
He hears the Hamas come in, and right away he runs. They had their room in the center of the village. They had their
weapons.
We're over there. There was 15 M16s for all of their. There's 15 people in Kfar Aza. He told us there's 14 people that live there. That they're in. It's called a Kitat Konenut. It's like in every village in Israel. There's a few people with guns who get together, and if something happens, then they go every day around the gate and they make sure everything's okay.
So they got 15 people against.
There are 14 people, and he told me that at 7 o'clock they all started fighting, and at 8:15, 8 out of the 14 were dead. It's more than half. He was fighting till around 10 o'clock. He killed a few terrorists. And at 10 o'clock in the morning,
he's got
his
a
wife...
gun and he's up against RPGs.
Yeah.
That's not a fair fight. And missiles. I'm just saying.
That's what it was. He killed a few terrorists, and his wife sent him a message at 10 o'clock in the morning that there's terrorists in his house.
She didn't make it.
She did.
How?
And the story is crazy. He started going towards his house. Right away, he said his wife and kids are at home. He started going towards his house, and on the way, a few terrorists came to them. He killed 3 terrorists on the way. And when he was a few meters away from his house, he got hit from a few bullets by his arm that blew up his whole hand, and one bullet also went into his lungs. That's why he had this whole procedure because he wasn't able to breathe. He was hiding for 45 minutes till they were able to get him out of Kfar Aza. But he's telling us that his wife was at home and she heard the terrorists coming in. She took his two kids, 9 and 13 years old. She hid them under a bed, and she went into a cabinet. And the terrorists broke open the door. They came into the house. They were sitting on the bed that the kids were hiding under.
Amazing that these kids didn't cry.
They were quiet
I think
this
if
whole
I
time.
was under a bed and there were terrorists sitting on top of it, I would be.
Yes, they were just staying there. The terrorists were in the house for over a half hour. They were just going back and forth. They went into the kitchen. They were taking drinks. They were eating, talking on the phone. They were in the room.
Not very
they were
good
hiding.
Terrorists. Who spends a half an hour just sitting and schmoozing when you're supposed to be out, fighting? I would report them.
We need to teach them a little more.
That's right.
And really, they were there for over a half hour, and then they went out of the house, and they started burning the house from outside. She right away, she went out the cabinet. She took the two kids. She said they had like a back door that goes into the small warehouse they have in back. So she ran into the kids with there, and they were there for over 14 hours till they got them out.
And the warehouse didn't burn. The house
The
burned?
warehouse didn't burn. She broke a small lock that was there because she just needed to get in. But these are stories that are they're real heroes. Like it's crazy. The first girl, the story she went through.
Do you imagine you're one of the 14 guys with a gun, and you hear your wife say the terrorists are in the house, and you're on your way there, and they shoot you up, and you don't know what's happening with your wife and kids.
Right.
When did he find out that his wife and kids were okay? I mean, not when he was had to be
a few days later when he got to the hospital.
So he's on his way to the hospital, all shot up, and as far as he knows, his whole family's dead.
Right. It's crazy.
Who can even wrap your head around this stuff?
That's one story out of thousands that are that day. It's crazy to hear all these people's stories, what they went through that day. It's every single one of the people that were in the whole South that day has a crazy story. It's stories that you listen and you can't sleep at night. It's crazy.
Now, Kfar Aza, this is a secular settlement.
Right.
There's no frum people there.
No.
Right. So what did they think when they see a couple of Haredim driving around?
I don't know, but I believe that today they think a little different than what they thought before.
It's amazing. I mean, when you're in Sderot, there's from people there too.
Right.
You know?
But it's not what people look at at the moment. That moment, everyone is together and everyone looks what we could do to help.
I would think
everyone comes to do what he's good at and to do what he came to do. And that's the amazing thing about us.
When did the shooting stop in Kfar Aza?
Wednesday night.
And was the whole time that you're there, Shmini Tzeres, the fighting is going on the whole time?
Yeah.
Terrorists are there.
Yeah.
They didn't feel like they needed to leave at any point. Israel was counterattacking.
No, they were hiding, a lot of them, and from the truth is in Kfar Aza, Monday afternoon they were like, it was much more relaxed, but there was still a lot that were there was still a lot that were hiding all over. And every few hours, all of a sudden, this terrorist came out from in the middle of, I don't know where, and started shooting towards. But then it was much more, there was much more soldiers already inside, and everything was much more organized.
The rest of the day, you're basically going back and forth in Kfar Aza.
Kfar Aza, Route 232. At night, we get to the police station in Sderot.
Now, why'd you go there?
At one point, we got to Kfar Aza. And all of a sudden, these few jeeps come out. They all have a few injured people. We took 3 injured soldiers. They were all from 3 different special Israeli units. One of them was hit from an RPG, his leg. One of them was hit from a grenade in his face. And one was shot in his leg. The guy who was shot in his leg, I didn't even ask him what his name is because we didn't have time. There's 2 people that really need my help. We just put in
All three of them, you put them in the...
Yeah, we put them all in, and we started driving towards the hospital. At that point, that's the one time through the whole day that we went to the hospital, because we knew there was no available ambulances by
the Tzomet
over there.
They finally decided to come in.
So, yeah.
So this is after 3.
Yeah. So after that, when we drive with all these 6 ambulances to Kfar Aza, then a few jeeps come out. Each one had a few injured. So each one of the 6 ambulances took between 3 to 4 injured people.
Everybody went to Kfar Aza?
Yeah.
They didn't go to Be'eri?
We had no idea what's going on around. We just told everyone,
so
come
everybody
to Kfar
else just
Aza.
came with you because they knew you were there.
Yeah. They were just driving after us. We told them where to come because we knew where there's people.
And they all had plenty
help.
of injured to take.
Yeah. We each ambulance took 3 or 4 people to the hospital. And at that point, we knew they were all with us. We knew there's not more available ambulances by Chelet. So we just drove one after, just 6 of us all together to the hospital. In the middle, like on the way, then every 2 went to a different hospital because we didn't want all to get together to the same hospital. Between 25 minutes to 40 minutes.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
To be out of there.
We drove to the closest hospital because they needed it. So when we were on the way there, it's about 25-minute drive. And on the way, there's a story that I can't forget. I remember...
It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. Torah and Simcha, ready to go. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. Knowledge and wisdom will help you grow. Lots of fun in every episode. And we don't have to rhyme. No, we don't. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show on RabbiOrlofsky.com. Torah anytime, YouTube and more. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. Torah and Simcha, ready to go. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. Till next time, till we meet again. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show.